Hi there, everybody. We're going to explore a part of the island that you guys might not have seen yet. This is kind of the upper portion of the island above the second beam there. So we're going to go check that out. And if you have any questions about the game or anything, feel free to ask. We'll start with just a little bit of kind of walkthrough and showing off this part of the island. And then we're going to talk about some of the upcoming features in the game. We're in adventure mode. I can see some interesting creatures off there in the distance, so we're going to head over that way, I think. Okay, so while we're making our way over this way, do we want to talk a little bit about what we've been working on, John?
Yeah, sure. We're overhauling the whole creature AI and prep for adding new things like abilities and getting the game, also making the game play better as far as like things like combat and other things like that. So we've redesigned the whole system, starting to come together. Hopefully we'll have something to show you guys, maybe a clip or something by next week. And we're also adding a lot more to the animation system to kind of empower these features. So creatures should be able to strike, swing limbs, that type of stuff, and be more expressive.
Well, welcome to the Twitch chat, Van Dracoric. Yeah, we think it's a interesting and sometimes very weird game. That's something as we're continuing to develop and work on the game, we don't want to lose the weirdness. It's actually kind of, we think, a big feature of the game. What kind of limbs are planned? Question from Tycho the Pug. So, right now, the game really only identifies chains that have mouths or eyes on them as like necks. We want to add better handling for stuff like arms and the tails, so to support things like scorpion type activity. So we want you to be able to have like a tail that has something on it. Now that'll do strikes from behind the creature, and having arms that can try to reach out and hit things a little bit without needing it to be a mouth on the end. So the type of limbs will be basically all depending on the types of end blocks you put on those chains, and then additionally you'll have additional abilities that will be unlocked by having this sort of setup. So a lot of this is just a little slow and annoying to have to do it, but it gives us a much bigger potential in terms of what we can do with the creatures. And it goes along with creating the more interesting AI and movement for the creatures. So right now, they have a bunch of different states, and they are interesting, fun characters, but we want to make them even more interesting and more differentiated. So we all have these kind of hodgepodge creatures. They all act relatively similarly right now, and we want to make that even more differentiated. So when I build my dog chicken, it's clearly acting like I would expect, or maybe not expect, but it's acting like a dog chicken will act in the game, not just, oh, it's another hybrid. So that's kind of one of the big goals of our current push here, as well as supporting a lot more fun abilities to add. So Crispy Pumpkins had the comment, middle mouse or numpad would probably be a good idea for stinger uses. The AI controls the creature's ability usage, Crispy Pumpkins. It's not something that's directly player controlled yet. We do have the aspiration to have either whistle commands to trigger specific abilities, or perhaps when you're mounted on a creature, you could have a more strong, something more than just, oh, I'm riding a controlled movement. I also now get access to its abilities to trigger at my leisure. And Tycho the Pug asks, is a herd of anger sheep / pigs called a rage?
It is now.
Yeah, we'll have to get back to you on the nomenclature to ask our chicken scientist to get on that immediately. And now I'm walking through the long grass in the middle of the night at the edge of the forest.
That's another interesting thing we can bring up. And with the new AI, creatures sensing got overhauled as well. So in the future, at nighttime, you can and even during the daytime, you can actually hide in the grass, long grass like this, and the creatures have a harder time seeing you, so you can kind of sneak up on them. And in the new version coming up, they have additional sensing, so sense of like hearing and sense of smell will be added, so you can confuse creatures by throwing like rocks behind them and things like that to take advantage of the sensing. They also will track you better as well.
Yes. So it's something you'll notice. We put out periodically a poll kind of about what abilities you the players, want to see in the game moving forward, and camouflage and other sorts of visual controls and sneaking was really high on the list for most people. So that's something we're definitely want to make sure as part of this AI improvement that kind of becomes a huge part of the game. My poor... Oh, it's okay. It's okay. Because we want you to be able to, both you and your creature, to be sneaking around, and that requires understanding, other creatures understanding that you're visible or not visible, and all those things become part of it.
We also have the idea that certain creatures might like certain environment aspects, so like maybe snakes are hidden in the grass, so it might not always be a safe place for you to go.
Because of all John's fun fixes in the AI will be attempt to stay in the grass, so the long grass will get very, very terrifying. Oh no! Oh, I didn't build a bed. I just now realizing there was no bed made. Oh, we killed it?
Oh, it's still around.
Oh, Jesus.
Over here somewhere.
Oh, that scared the crap out of me. Oh. Rambus was asking, is there scorpions in the game? Not yet. We do have all the assets for it, so it will be something that will be in the game. But it was something we held off on because we didn't want to put a scorpion in the game until we were at the point where we could also...
Well, it needs all this animation stuff we're currently working on.
If we're going to have a scorpion, that tail better be able to strike things, and its claws better be able to attack. So that was something that was really important to us, to make sure it happened. As you can see, there's also things that are much more terrifying than scorpions already in the game. Tycho the Pug asks, will flying creatures have sort of stamina so that flying isn't too overpowered? If we bring flying in, absolutely, we'll have to do it in a way that is balanced. A big question with that is going to be whether or not it makes a lot of sense to bring in flying like that. If flying is going to end up feeling not tons and tons of fun, then why are we bringing it into the game? So that's going to be something that, as we move forward with this focus on improving creature abilities and the interest in what creatures can act like and what they can do, that'll become part of that. Likely flying would not be part of this first initial push into abilities, but it's not something that's completely off the table yet. So Tycho the Pug is asking, will maps be implemented so you can find your homestead? In some way, yes. In some way, we are definitely going to add some tools to make it a lot easier for you to find where you have built things. Whether it be just a map that has some parts of it automatically populated, or something else along those lines. But that is definitely something on our roadmap that we are going to bring into the game.
We want to focus on the creatures right now, really getting that part to shine, and then we're going to come back to things like the adventure mode and other stuff.
Yes. And yes, so Multador, I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, asked, do you hear chicken? In my sleep at this point.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Crispy Pumpkin comments on Twitch, would be cute to see something made of yarn like a voodoo animal. Likely beyond the scope of what we're currently trying to do, but part of our large plan for chicken does open up the possibility of modding, which means creating your own blocks or your own visuals for blocks, so you could totally do that. But anyway, so one great gameplay thing you can do if you're struggling in adventure mode at all is if you find a herd, essentially using food to tame one member of the herd will oftentimes mostly tame the rest of the herd. So you can end up by taming just one, it takes a little more effort. You can tame an entire herd of creatures, which you can then either take apart or use as now your army to destroy things, which can make a lot of the challenges people run into a little bit more manageable. Some other discarded dog parts here.
It looks like the dogs attacked the llamas.
Yes.
They defended themselves, and now they're over here just chilling.
Yes. So that's definitely a part of the game we're going to look to be expanding more as part of this AI thing, is to have these creature-to-creature interactions that naturally occur be a prevalent part of the game.
There's a question about adding arms to the game so creatures can grab stuff.
Yes.
Yep.
On the roadmap.
That's what we're currently working on, actually.
Yes.
That
So
type
part
of system.
There's kind of two parts to that. One is supporting moving arms to grasp a target, which we've just now added. Partially, like that's what I've been working on for the past week, couple weeks, for a while. And then second to that is going to be adding the animations for a arm to reach out and pick up something. So when we say arm, that's the other thing. Right now, the only arms, quote-unquote arms in the game are really just hanging legs. So when we've completed this kind of animation system we've been doing, there'll be a lot more options in terms of expanding the types of end blocks that we can have. So you could have arms, you could have a crab claw that reaches out and picks stuff up. Or maybe a cat paw will pick up food and bring it to its mouth. So that creatures like this won't have to kneel every time it wants to eat. Because that's kind of what's going to be important to us moving ahead. We feel like we've demonstrated kind of the range of visual differences you can achieve with creatures in the game. But we want to do a better job of having those creatures act differently and have a true purpose of, okay, why are there these creatures in the game? So we want to make sure that as we add creatures in the future, you know, what purpose is this creature serving? Why would I want to build using this creature other than it just looks different? I mean, different looking is good, it's important, but it's something that we want there to be a lot more purpose to your building. How many chickens does it take to kill a dragon? It sounds like a future stream.
Yeah.
First, it would depend on what type of dragon. It might have a lot of trouble, because the chickens are going to be inherently terrified of the dragon, unless you had enough of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they do factor in how many friends they have nearby.
So we have a frog with abilities with no fall damage plus jump. That's definitely something that's within scope of what we're doing. We have a bunch of jump animations for our current creatures that I have to implement, and then work in with the rest of the ability system in the game. So yes, Malte is continuing on with his, in the YouTube chat, the idea of having, I'll describe it, alien-type creatures with AI that do things differently or better than players. And that's literally, you're describing a lot of the facets of the poachers that currently exist in the game. So that is definitely something.
We have art for our spaceship for the poachers. It's not in the game yet.
Yes, we're still nailing down the exact storyline around the poachers, so we don't want to necessarily exactly, oh yeah, they're aliens, because they might not be. They might use ships to travel, they might not. We're still figuring out the real, total story to chicken, which is something that will be revealed through the gameplay in some ways in the future. That is something that is currently very much in progress. Mufsina does not want to deal with that wild boss feeder. So you can see he has 816 health and 59.8 attack. So definitely really strong, tough to deal with at this point in the game. Really the only way to defeat him would be to have a much larger group of creatures to deal with.
Or better items.
Better items also would help a lot.
Yeah, you can go do the crafting portion of the game, gather armor and weapons and stuff, so that you can help your creatures.
Yep. But this is definitely something that will be tuned once we have finished our whole AI and ability thing and start to look back towards adventure mode and improving this whole experience. So I think that's going to be it for us for today. We actually have to get back to work. it is a lot of fun. We really love this time we get to play the game. But yeah, so again, everyone, thanks for joining us. I'm going to go ahead and turn off the stream. We'll look forward to seeing you all next week. And please join us in game. We'll have a server set up over the weekend for people to join and show off your building. So yeah, so this is Chicken, and thanks for joining us.